Okay, folks, ready to dive deep. Today we're looking at Nick Vujicic.
Awesome.
Now, I know you might be thinking, oh, I've heard his story, but stick with us because we're going beyond the headlines. Born without limbs, motivational speaker. Yeah, we know that part.
All right.
We're trying to figure out what really makes his message resonate so powerfully across the globe.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the overcoming adversity angle, which is incredible in itself, of course, but
Of course.
there's something about how Vujicic frames his experiences that's just fascinating to me.
Right.
It's not just what he does, it's the whole mindset.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning.
Sure.
Vujicic was born with tetraamelia syndrome.
Right.
Now, most people know that means he was born without limbs,
Yeah.
but is there more to it than that?
Oh, absolutely. Tetramelia, it's not just the absence of limbs, it affects the whole skeletal structure.
Ah,
So imagine having to learn to navigate the world in a way that's completely different from how most of us do. Even the simplest tasks become these incredible feats of ingenuity and adaptation.
that's a really good point. And I think that's really key to understanding his perspective, right?
Absolutely.
It's not overcoming one specific challenge. It's this constant state of innovation,
Right.
finding new ways to interact with the world around him.
Exactly.
And speaking of adapting, I got to ask about his parents.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, facing that situation with a newborn,
I can't even imagine.
it must have been incredibly difficult.
It was, absolutely. But here's the thing that always gets me, how they responded.
Right,
They didn't, shelter him or treat him like he was fragile.
right.
They actually encouraged him to explore his limits, try new things.
Wow.
They even enrolled him in mainstream schools,
Well,
believing that he deserved the same opportunities as any other child.
that's huge.
Yeah, and it wasn't just about the practical stuff.
Right.
They instilled in him this belief in his own potential.
That's power.
There's this story, I think it's in his book, where his father puts him in the pool for the first time.
Oh, wow.
And of course, Nick's terrified, right?
Understandably.
But his dad, he just gently encourages him, and says, Nick, you can do this. You have everything you need inside you.
Man, that gives me chills just hearing that.
It's so powerful.
It's like they were teaching him, don't be defined by your limitations, but
Okay.
by your inner strength.
Exactly.
But even with that support, I mean, those early years must have been so tough.
Oh, they were, yeah. He talks about the isolation, the bullying he went through. It would
Right.
have been so easy to just give in to despair.
Yeah.
But instead, he found solace in his faith. And he started to see his challenges as opportunities to connect with others,
Right.
share his story, offer hope.
Right. And that decision to share his story publicly, I think that's where things get really interesting.
I agree.
Because it's not just a look at me, I'm overcoming adversity thing. It's so much deeper than that.
It is, yeah. It's like he chooses vulnerability.
Yeah. Right.
He talks about his struggles so openly and honestly, and I think that's what creates this incredible connection with his audience.
It makes it human.
Right. It's
Yeah.
like he's saying, hey, I get it, life is hard, I've been there, but there's beauty and meaning to be found even in the pain.
Man, that is powerful.
It is.
And then, of course, that leads us to his book, Limitless.
Right. He takes all these concepts and puts them into practice. It's a system for living, a framework.
I'd love it.
And you know what? The themes he talks about, there's so much more than just platitudes.
Right.
He really dives deep into the power of positivity.
But not just in a naive kind of way.
No, not at all. It's not just think happy thoughts.
Right.
It's about actively choosing where you focus your energy.
Right.
He talks about cultivating gratitude even in the face of challenges.
I love that. It's about shifting your perspective,
Yeah.
not denying reality.
Exactly. And he lives this stuff. There's a story in the book. He's traveling and his luggage gets lost, including his custom-made equipment, which, he needs for daily tasks.
Of course.
Most people would be like totally freaking out, understandably.
Okay.
But Vujicic, he sees it as a chance to practice gratitude.
Wow.
He focuses on the fact that he's safe, that he has people who care about him,
Right.
and he uses the whole experience to connect with others who are going through tough times.
It's incredible. He turns every obstacle into this opportunity for growth.
He does.
So inspiring, especially for someone like me who, sometimes struggles to see the positive.
I hear that.
But it's not all mindset, right? He also talks a lot about the importance of connection.
Oh, absolutely. He argues that human connection is just fundamental to well-being.
Okay.
He talks about building strong relationships, surrounding yourself with people who support you, who believe in you.
And again, he doesn't just talk about it.
No,
He lives it.
he does. He makes a point of connecting with people, whether it's at his events or online.
Let's just say,
It is. And then finally, there's this thread of purpose that runs through everything he does.
yeah,
And I think it ties back to his parents, instilling that belief in him from a young age.
yeah.
He found his purpose in sharing his story, helping others to see their potential.
Fuel,
It is. It gives him this incredible drive and resilience.
So after all of this, after diving into Vujicic's life and his message, what does it mean for us, for the person listening right now who may be facing their own challenges? What's the takeaway?
I think it comes down to recognizing that limitations, they exist for everyone.
Right.
But what truly makes something a limitation is our perception of it. That's the challenge Vujicic puts to us. What really limits us? Is it the circumstance, or is it our belief about what we can do?
That's a powerful question.
It is.
It's not about denying our difficulties. It's about how we choose to respond to them.
Exactly.
And if anyone out there is interested in exploring this further, I highly recommend checking out Limitless. It's a real deep dive into the power of the human spirit. And I think it just might change your perspective on what you're truly capable of achieving.
It might.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
See ya.